Israel as a country is awesome, right? Tel Aviv is an unbelievable. There's a great book called Startup Nation by Dan Singer and Saul Sina, I think it is. And it asks the question, it says, how does a country of 7 million people, all right, surrounded by neighbors that are pretty much hell-bent on its destruction, multiple wars and so forth raining down over the last 60 years since they've been declared a state, how does a country in such a precarious situation build more companies on the NASDAQ than, I believe, I may be misquoting, so check out the book, China, India, Europe, and somewhere else in Asia combined, right? Just crazy. The level of innovation, and a lot of it comes from agriculture. They've found ways to irrigate deserts. It's the needs must, right? Just tons of it. Obviously, you've got companies like Waze. You've got early companies like Amdocs and many others where there's been billion-dollar businesses built out of Israel. But a lot of it is down arguably to the army there. Everyone's forced to go to the army. You do as you're a guy. You do 3 years military service.
3 full years. Okay.
3 full years. Women do 2. So my wife did 2 years in the army, right?
Okay.
And what happens if you're particularly strong on science and maths and all the rest, you kind of get funneled through school and suddenly you find yourself in one of the elite intelligence units. So these guys, what matters isn't what university or what college you went to, it's what unit you served at in the army. So small country, everyone knows each other, you learn to hack and do all types of crazy stuff on counterintelligence, and these guys come out and suddenly you're in Tel Aviv, you're on the beach. You've got Sequoia there, you've got Greylock, you've got Bessemer. There's tons of capital.
They all have offices there.
All have offices, right? So the Israeli government made it incredibly easy for external capital to invest. Tons of smart guys, and just a culture where it's a scrappy culture, but everyone believes that they can do something. There's no fear of risk. You're constantly under threat, so go for it. Live every day.
Is it that simple that they are constantly under threat and you have to kind of seize the day?
I don't know. That's my interpretation, right? I don't think you can ever boil it down, but
right.
It's a country of immigrants, right? I mean, you had after the fall of the Soviet Union, you had close to 2 million Russian Jews came across to Israel, and guys with PhDs, scientists and mathematicians, and many others. They weren't all PhDs, right? But a fair few smart guys came across. Many of them couldn't find work, but they worked, car park attendants and whatever. And, their kids have grown up super smart guys and, they want to achieve something. So, you've got a country of immigrants, you've got a constant threat, a belief that anything is possible. And then you throw in a very non-hierarchical society and military, right? There's very little hierarchy in the military. So there's a whole culture of learning, debriefing, and whatever. So people don't just get the technical skills in the elite units, but they get the concept of leadership at a very young age. So I think it fits well for starting a business.
And your missus said, just go for it.
Just go for it.
Is
the tax incentives in Israel? I have no idea. Is it similar to here, kind of? Or?
So the Israeli government basically underwrote a large chunk of early stage capital. So if you're investing a couple of million, they would underwrite 50% of your deal. So it was pretty interesting for a lot of the big funds to come across.
Interesting.
And Google's got a major engineering office in Tel Aviv, one up in Haifa. They've just built a big Google campus. I was there the other day. I was seeing a guy who sold his business to the BBC. He's running a big social gaming company there. We're chatting over lunch, and he's like, "Oh, there's a company over there. They do toolbars. They have 500 million toolbar extensions downloaded. They're sitting on a ton of data. You should chat to these guys." Pick up the phone. They're down there in the cafe. Suddenly you're meeting another. Everyone works together, right? In the same little bunch of streets, people drink in the same pubs. So in the same way that you have a physical presence and kind of central location in Shoreditch. Yeah. But I think even in London, it's a bit more spread out. It's not just around Old Street, but in Tel Aviv, it's small. Everyone knows everyone.
So that density and serendipitous moments, and that's that Simon Cook was saying. It's sort of that's where innovation comes from, and it's
it's that physical population density. Yeah. You can't do this on Facebook. You can't do this virtually. It really needs to be, 3 guys in a room talking rubbish. Maybe some beers are involved. I don't know, but that's how a lot of these ideas start. It's
absolutely.
It's kind of comforting to know.